Hello everyone! Today we are going to discuss one of the most famous cases of UFO encounters in history, which includes a crash of a craft, its recovery, and alleged meetings and capture of at least one living non-human being. The event we are discovering today is sometimes called the Roswell of Brazil. It took place in the year 1996 in the city called Varginha in the Minas Gerais state. In January that year, North American Aerospace Defense Command, or NORAD, informed Brazilian authorities that their airspace has been invaded by what seemed to be UFO activity. On January the 20th, news coverage from Brazil and later from all around the world went abuzz with reports of a crashed UFO and strange entities encountered by both military and civilians in and around the city of Varginha. But the whole event began a week earlier. On January the 13th, people enjoying their evening in Varginha observed a UFO object hovering over their cattle, which became agitated. Upon observation, the object seemed to be the size of a microbus and in the oblong shape of a submarine. The object was visible for about 40 minutes, flying at low altitude and speed towards the town, emitting white smoke. That same night at 4 a.m., Carlo de Souza, a pilot, was driving to Varginha. About 3 miles away from the city, he heard a sound similar to an engine rumbling, which prompted him to stop at the roadside. As he did, and as he got out of the car, he saw a cylindrical airship approximately 12 meters long and about 5 meters in diameter, flying approximately 130 meters above the ground and towards the town. The object was metallic, and Mr. de Souza also testified a smoke being emitted from a hole in the side of the vehicle. De Souza got back into the car and started chasing the object, which had crashed into the local woods. The driver managed to find a dirt road and eventually reached the scene of the crash, which was littered with what looked like metallic tinfoil. He picked up one of the foil pieces, which was very light, and when he crumpled it in his hand, the foil resumed its original shape. In the distance, de Souza saw a military helicopter, an ambulance, and other vehicles, and the site of the crash emitted a powerful smell of ammonia. He was quickly approached by the military, who at the gunpoint told him to go away and stressed that he saw nothing, i.e. that he should not tell anything to anyone. When de Souza left the site and stopped at the nearby restaurant to grab a drink, he was approached by another man who also told him to say nothing and mentioned private details concerning the man in a very thinly veiled threat. At the same time, two of the military men nonetheless alerted Brazilian ufologists about the incident, indicating that the area was cordoned off, and they informed about the military presence in the city and nearby surroundings. They also mentioned that the Brazilian authorities were tipped off by NORAD about a large UFO presence over the Western Hemisphere, with one object crossing Brazilian airspace, presumably the one which then crashed. At 8 in the morning, the local fire station in Varginha received a phone call from a local resident, alerting them to a strange creature present in the park located north of the Jardim Mandeira area. At 10 a.m. the firefighters were at the scene, but instead of what they suspected to be a wild animal, they saw a bipedal creature, approximately 5 feet tall, with red eyes and brown skin. The firefighters then assisted military personnel who caught and carried the being in a fishnet, while they themselves shielded the scene from curious onlookers. Again, ammonia smell was very strongly present in the presence of said being. In the early afternoon, with still heavy military presence in the local area, one of the local woods heard a fire open from weapons at the location where the first creature was allegedly seen. One of the soldiers became scared as he stumbled upon two beings, one of which seemed to assist the other, who was wounded. Those creatures looked different than the one originally sighted and had hair, according to the report. The soldiers opened fire, reportedly killing one of the creatures, and both the creatures were then transported away in body bags. As one of the bags was moving, it indicated that one of the aliens survived the encounter. Around 3:30 in the afternoon, sisters Da Silva, aged 16 and 14, together with their friend Javier, aged 22, were crossing through an empty property in one of the neighborhoods in Varginha. There, they allegedly encountered a thin, hairless, and dark-skinned creature with dark veins visible in its skin. The creature had very large two-toed feet, 2 arms with 3 fingers each, and its big head had bony protrusions. It also had red eyes. As they noticed the creature moving, the girls ran away and alerted their families. When they returned to the location, the creature was gone, and all that remained was the stench of ammonia and hydrogen sulfide, as well as strange footprints. They also remembered that the creature was scared and seemed to suffer from heat. Meanwhile, a hailstorm stopped the search effort by the military. Around 6 p.m., the searching teams went back into the woods, where 2 officers captured the 4th creature, taking it into their car with bare hands. As they arrived at the local clinic, the medics turned them away, but they were admitted to the local hospital, where examinations were allegedly performed on the creature. Later that night, one of the soldiers who captured the creature fell ill. During the night, the captured creatures were transferred between 2 hospitals in Varginha, while the city was still under heavy military and police presence. The beings were possibly transferred to a hospital in Belo Horizonte, where one of them died. The next day, on January 22nd, the bodies were transferred from the hospital to a military base called Essa in Tres Corações. From there, the creatures were moved to the University of Campinas in São Paulo on the 23rd. The bodies were compartmentalized, so separated and moved, one to an underground laboratory and other to different laboratories at the site. The regular staff were barred entry to some of the premises, and the entire campus was under military administration. On the 25th, the US military arrived at the Campinas University, followed by NASA personnel a day later. But now, let's return to the story of the military policeman we mentioned earlier who fell ill, Mr. Marco Eli Cereze. On February the 6th, he started exhibiting symptoms similar to an infection, and by that time he had developed a small abscess, allegedly caused by Staphylococcus bacteria. As his condition deteriorated, he was admitted to a hospital on the 12th of February with intense pain in his lower back as well as fever. 3 days later, he woke up with developing cyanosis and intense urinary septicemia, which ultimately proved to be fatal the same day around noon. Despite the infection, the doctors concluded that the cause of death was unclear. Interestingly enough, they wanted to cremate the body before the family could make any decisions in that regard, and the family later complained that they had received an incomplete death certificate. A certificate from the autopsy of the body. One more subjective and anecdotal aspect of this event was a testimony from one of the doctors working at the hospital where the creatures were transferred to. Said doctor tried to treat the sole non-human survivor of the event, unfortunately to no avail, as the creature's condition deteriorated quickly and it passed away. But before it did, it allegedly made telepathic contact and communication with the doctor. The alien being was grateful for help, but also pointed out that it will be fruitless as it is too late. It also mentioned that it feels sorry for humans because we are unaware of what we really are and what potential we hold, whatever this cryptic message could mean. The story of Varginha has been the study of extensive research by ufologists from both Brazil and all around the world. Even John Mack, the famous Harvard psychologist who also studied the 1994 mass sighting in Zimbabwe, was involved in the research. The Varginha case remains one of the most notable cases of non-human and human contact in history. It involves a plethora of witnesses, many of them still alive and telling their stories to this day. The city had heavy military and police presence which could not simply be explained by any mundane event of any kind. The testimonies of witnesses largely coincide, which is a strong hint towards the veracity of the case, given that people acted often under intense stress that day. And what do you think, dear viewers? Let me know in the comment section down below. That is all for today, finally a longer video about an interesting case and a part of major UFO lore. Stay tuned as we are going to cover more such cases from the modern times. Thank you for watching, like and subscribe if you enjoyed the content, and I will see you soon in another video. Take care.